don't box yourself into one thing, because then and I almost did this, because then you feel like you can't change even if you want to, and you're like fighting against whatever naturally happens. All right, guys, welcome back to the Adam Nessum Show. Today, I have Sarah Struble with me, who is a second-year medical student and is also known to many on TikTok. She's going to be talking about her journey to medical school and giving some awesome advice to all the pre-meds out there. So really excited to have her here. And Sarah, thanks for coming on. Welcome to the show.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Awesome. So for those that don't know who you are or haven't seen all of your viral TikTok videos, can you just give a little bit of background as to, your pre-med journey and how you got to medical school, why you knew that was the field you wanted to go into?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. But basically, it wasn't just obvious. I feel like for every medical student, it's never just one thing that makes them want to do medicine. It was sort of just all my life experiences brought me to medicine, and I'm super excited about being in medical school, even though my application process was a little bit weird. I didn't know what I was doing and got rejected from basically every school except one I got waitlisted at, and that's where I'm at now. It's California University of Science and Medicine. It's a newer school in California, and I'm really, really happy with the school, and I'm just, again, so excited to be a medical student and to be pursuing my dreams. And then as for all my TikTok stuff, I just kind of started that as a creative outlet. I've always been super creative, and I think being in the medical world and really academic world, you don't necessarily get that much time to be creative, and you're not getting those like creative outlets in school. So when I'm making videos and stuff, a lot of them are dumb or funny, but it's really just, it's to entertain people and to put sort of a light spin on the whole medical school experience. But also it's something that I just enjoy doing, and I need that creative outlet.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think especially for most medical students or pre-meds, it starts to feel like sometimes that's all you do and that your whole identity is wrapped up in that. So having some sort of outlet, whether it's a creative outlet, doing something you enjoy, whether it's sports or dance or whatever it is that you like, is good. I also think that you made two really important points about one, when you said there was no like one moment where you knew you wanted to go to medical school and be a doctor. I find a lot of students, especially when I work with pre-meds, they feel like there has to be this aha epiphany moment. And that's not really the case. This is like a long, hard journey, as I'm sure you know very well. And you need to really have a lot of experiences that help you decide, all right, is this the path that you wanted to take?
Absolutely.
And also for anyone out there, I mean, just listening to your story about getting lots of rejections, which honestly, I think most students applying to medical school are going to apply to a lot of schools and get a ton of rejections. I know I had my fair share of rejections as well. So that's inspiring for other students who may feel like down that they're either getting rejected or feel like they might not get in, that you just have to keep going. And also, every year, 60% of students are getting rejected from medical school. So more than half. So just because it doesn't happen the first time doesn't mean it won't. But I'm glad it worked out for you. And it seems like you're happy at where you're at now.
Yeah, definitely. But again, the application process was it was rocky for me. I think that if I had like any advice to give there, it would just be to be aware of how, like, the steps that you need to take,
right?
How to apply, be prepared in that sense, and apply smart.
What were some of the things that you felt like you didn't know when starting the application process or like going through it that you wish you had known?
I
beforehand?
didn't know anything. No, no, I'm just kidding. But basically, yeah, I really didn't know a lot. And the biggest thing I think was timing. I think I actually submitted my applications like a month after they opened, which was
Hmm.
just, that's
So
just not
like
what you do.
July around?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I can't remember specifics, but I just remember being like, oh, it's fine. I have time.
Right.
And one of the biggest things that I realized later on after I applied, so let me back up a little bit. I pretty much got rejected everywhere and then got waitlisted at one school. And so I wasn't going to like bank on getting into the school.
Hmm.
So it had been almost like a full year because you know how the
Right.
application cycle is.
Yep.
And so I started preparing to reapply. And I contacted a friend of mine who was like an advisor for pre-meds and helped with med school applications. And he basically just told me that I did everything wrong.
Oh, no.
but he gave me this really awesome, like pretty much document that just says all the things that just you need to do. And then in terms of what he offered, it was like he would look at my personal statement and my experience little snippets and
Hmm.
help me out there. But I'm looking at this doc and it was like, you need to post or you need to submit your applications that day.
As early as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And get your secondaries in within like a day or two, like all of it. And I was like, shoot, I really messed up.
Yeah. I think I mean, for some reason, there's just not a lot of clarity within the pre-med world on how to apply to medical school, and schools like undergrad schools themselves, but unless they have like a really good pre-health department, don't like explain that. So for example, medical school apps have a deadline, but that's really not the deadline because you have to apply on the first day. So you should in your mind think that the first day is the deadline. Honestly, well, this year everything's different because of COVID, but a month in is not terrible, but the deadline is usually like, I think October around. And so students think, oh, August, September, I could apply. Like, no, you can't. Most interview spots are already being filled up by that point if you're applying. And then, in terms of like getting your secondaries back, same thing. Like there's deadlines, but really when you get that secondary essay, you should be submitting it within 2 weeks at the latest, usually, so that schools know that you're interested and you're getting it in earlier. So regardless, I'm glad that it worked out. And
I mean, it was hard because again, I started taking those steps to improve my application. And I was just sort of mind blown at how wrong I applied. And so I was actually looking forward to reapplying because I was like, my numbers were all good, you know, like I had good MCAT scores. I had a good GPA and I looked good on paper, but just being dumb about the application process was, I feel like what really hurt me in terms of getting accepted places. But then, so I was really excited about reapplying and I was, you know, going to do it all right. I had already gotten feedback on my personal statement and I was improving my application. I got a new job, all this stuff. And then I got accepted and I was literally like, wait, do I go or do I reapply? It was this crazy, I really could not decide for the longest time. But in the end, I'm so glad that I just went because the application process is so annoying and
it's long, annoying, expensive.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was so ready to just move on from that and be a medical student. And I was given an opportunity to do that. So I took it.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Just taking an opportunity that is presented with you. I feel like a lot of students also get so nervous about, oh, I need to go to a top medical school or certain medical school. Like if you do well in medical school, like you're good regardless, you're going to be a doctor, even if you don't do well for the most part, unless you completely fail out. But even still, you can get into any specialty that you want from any medical school, as long as you're, especially as long as you're going in the US. I know sometimes international, it's a little bit harder, but if you're doing well in school, you're doing well on the boards, you can get into whatever residency position you want. And so jumping on that opportunity, not having to take another year, definitely makes sense. But I could see how that's was a tough decision at the time.
Yeah, it was. Because like you said, I had the mindset of a lot of people where I was like, okay, well, what if I want to do something super competitive? My medical school is going to matter. But again, I needed to do it. I couldn't go through that application process again. And I wasn't going to go through that again just because, what if I want to go into some sort of specialty that like looks at what medical school you go to? There are all these like what ifs. And who knows if I even would have gone into a better medical school the second time. So
100%. You really never know what could happen.
Absolutely. And I was like, the things that I did know were that if I went to medical school, I was going to do well, and I was going to grind and get into whatever specialty I wanted to get into, no matter what school I was going to,
Love it. Do you know what specialties you're considering at least?
I'm like back and forth a lot. I think it'll become more clear once I'm like next year, once I start rotations and stuff. But I've always thought probably something surgical. And in my past, I've worked with mainly plastic surgeons, which I think is an amazing field. And it's an amazingly creative,
very creative field,
artistic. And so I feel like that really aligns well with my personality and my background. But I also I'm just open to whatever. I think I mentioned to you before, I'm just keeping an open mind and rolling with punches.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. I think the stat is over 50% of students go into medical school thinking they're going to do one specialty and then change. Not saying that would be you, but you never know. So for any students that are listening, don't box yourself into one thing, because then and I almost did this, because then you'll feel like you can't change even if you want to, and you're like fighting against whatever naturally happens. So just go in with an open mind and then see what happens, especially third year. You'll learn a lot more when you do the different rotations. Will you be able to get plastics experience in third year in surgery, or have you been doing anything to try and get that?
So I don't think that there's a plastics department or residency at the hospital that I'll be doing rotations at next year. But I worked during my gap year with a plastic surgeon, Dr. Austin, who's in LA, and she's amazing. And I was her medical assistant, so I was able to get a lot of exposure. I was with her with every procedure, every surgery. So it was really fun. She's a facial plastic surgeon, and she always told me, she's like super young and really cool, and we became really good friends. She always told me, she was like, okay, now you go to medical school, and now you become a body plastic surgeon.
Nice. And you got the whole thing, face.
Yeah, I was like, okay, fine. Can we sign something?
She's waiting. Lock that contract in.
I know, right? So, I got experience there. And then she had some doctors that she worked with that I was able to go sort of shadow. I got exposure there. And then we just submitted a paper together, Dr. Austin.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
It's pending review now?
Yes. Yeah. It's just it wasn't anything like super clinical. It was a systematic review for this new technology, radio frequency. I don't know if you it's for
face aesthetics. Yeah. I gotcha.
Yeah. It's really cool. And then, so I was in med school as we were writing this, but once we were online, I guess that like a lot of free time opened up. And because we were writing this paper, she was like, do you want to just like come in and be my other medical assistant, or like just come in and watch some of these procedures? And so I got to go in on my days off, and that was really,
nice.
really fun. I got to see the procedure that we were writing about finally, I was like, cool. I don't know. It's all written like in the intros and stuff about how the procedure works and what's going on, but you can't really imagine it. And then you go in and you're like, oh, this is what they were talking about.
That makes a ton of sense. I've done like spine research, and we're talking about all these fancy surgeries. I'm like, but when you don't see it in person, it's very hard to like visualize from text what it is. And yet you're the student writing this research. That's good. So what did you think of taking the gap year? Did you enjoy it? It sounds like you did, because you had a good position. This is, I know, a question I get from students a lot about before, should they try to go straight through, take a gap year? I don't know if you've gotten this from younger pre-meds before.
Yeah. I'm super happy with my decision to take a gap year. One of the biggest things is that even like during my gap year, I felt like I didn't have enough time to like put all the effort into my applications and stuff like that. So I couldn't imagine trying to apply while I was a senior in college. And so that's a big point to sort of consider when you're on the fence of whether you want to take a gap year or not. And then, I don't know, I had the best time during my gap year.
Yeah.
Especially after I got into medical school.
Even better. Okay, now there's no stress.
Yeah. And so I went and traveled. I visited like all my friends from college, because I went to college in Michigan, and I'm from LA. So my friends were sort of scattered across the US. So in that time I got to travel. I went to Nashville, Michigan, Chicago, New York, everywhere where my friends were. I went and saw them.
I'm jealous. That was my goal for my medical school gap year, and that fell through, but no, that's awesome. Yeah, I've yet to hear, I try to ask this because I've yet to hear a student that I've either like mentored in the past or just went talking to other people that regretted taking a gap year. It's a year that you have the time for yourself. It makes the pre-med process a little bit less stressful because you don't have to, like you mentioned, do MCAT applications, all this stuff while taking classes. And then sometimes that negatively affects students' grades, et cetera, because it's just a lot at once. And you get other cool experience like this connection with the plastic surgeon, I'm sure. Yeah. Connection for your future career, regardless of what you end up doing.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's provided me with so much advice, and not even just like in like if I want to pursue plastics. She's just been a good, a good mentor, I guess.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I would highly recommend taking a gap year. I loved it.
I would agree with you, even though it's a little hypocritical for me to say because I didn't, but for like the majority of students, I think it just makes a ton of sense. And I guess that's why I didn't take the gap year. So now I'm doing one a little bit later. So what are you doing when you're not grinding away in medical school? I know I like it. Well, okay. That was my, so when you're trying to find a little bit of balance as a medical student, what do you like to do? Aside from Anki flashcards and studying?
So as I sort of mentioned before, I really like making TikTok videos, and, I'll help my sister with hers too, just because it's really a fun, like creative outlet. And
how fast did you blow up on TikTok, or how did that work?
So I had, I think, like 100 followers for the longest time. Like I had posted like, I was only at like 4 videos, and I had like 100, maybe 120 followers. And then I posted this video, like a trans video. And
Is it the one with the shoe? You like flip the shoe? Yeah.
It blew up. And by that night, I think I had 40K followers.
Wow. What was that like? Because I've been in like the social media game for a while, I guess you could say. Before TikTok was even a thing, I was like on Instagram and whatnot. So my progression was like slow over time for the most part. And so like I was able to kind of get used to what happens when you have like 10K followers, 20K. What was it like going from like 100 to now 40,000 people are following you and have seen your videos, and probably more than 40,000 have seen your videos?
Yeah. That video got like 7 million views. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? This is so weird. It was exciting. I was really excited about it and happy, obviously. But then when I started to think about it, and then I was like, oh shoot, now I have to keep this up. I have to keep making content.
Or you could be a one-hit wonder.
Right, I guess. But I mean, my goal when I created my TikTok was to make more medical school like themed videos, and eventually I want to do more educational videos. But my first like few videos were just sort of comic relief.
That's definitely needed for students as well.
Yeah, I agree. And that was just what was fun for me to make. And so that's what I've kind of kept doing. But yeah, after I blew up, I was like, are people gonna still watch my videos? Like, there was a lot of pressure to continue to make good content. And I've had definitely a lot of videos just flop. But I also feel like having more followers, more you get that more feedback, I guess, and you can make your videos better. And yeah, I don't know.
Have your fellow classmates or other people seen your videos at this point, or has anyone like that you don't know, like a stranger, recognize you? I guess that's less likely because of COVID now, but
yeah, I don't think I've had anyone like recognize me, but my friends, my med school friends, definitely give me a lot of.
Oh, I bet
they give me a hard time about my TikToks, I guess.
I've gotten as much shit as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So I totally know what you mean.
Yeah. So my one of my good friends in med school, he's also on TikTok, and his like @ used to be student doc, but he just changed it to his name. But he's pretty, like, he gets a lot of views on his videos, like over 1 million on some of them. And so he's definitely in the TikTok scene. And whenever we're all hanging out, it's always everyone against us, sort of, you know.
At least you have a partner in crime for that.
So yeah, I do like having him, because he'll text me and be like, oh, we should do this video. And we've done a couple collab
Have you
videos.
done a collab? Oh, I have to check them out.
Yeah, they're funny. Like one of them, we literally had class together over like a Zoom call. And it was when that there was a trend going on. It was like, how am I supposed to focus in class?
I saw this video. Okay, wait, I have to make a confession here. I saw this video and I was like, that's a bold move. He doesn't know her, because he was like it was like jokingly confessing his love for you, like being distracted in class.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, so it was like a joke. Like I was aware that he was going to do that. He had texted me like the week before. He's like,
I was not aware. I almost messaged you to see, did anyone do this, and to see if you saw this video, because I was like, what if you didn't know?
That's really funny. No, I duetted it, and I did a reaction.
I've actually been off of TikTok for a little bit, just haven't been posting as much, but so I'm a little out of the loop. I didn't see the duet, but I'll have to check it out. Have you transferred any of that over to IG Reels?
I did the first video that went viral. I just kind of was testing out Reels to see how it worked, and I was like, oh, this is my most viral video, so let me just post it. And I got like a good amount of views, but I definitely want to start making more Reels. I feel like that's going to be a way to grow my Instagram page. And my Instagram page is definitely more personal, and that's where I would really like to see, I guess, my following grow, because I share a lot of, I guess, personal things, but also like political things and advocacy and all of that. And I would love to reach a bigger audience.
All right. So there you have it. If you're following Sarah on TikTok, you have to go over and follow her on Instagram as well. Now, I agree. It's hard to make audiences transfer like that. I have noticed that Instagram Reels, at least for just TikTok growth or Instagram growth in general, has been for a long time. There hasn't been any way to really grow fast on Instagram anymore. And Reels is like the first thing that I've seen that videos can blow up again and you can like transfer over, get a lot of followers pretty fast.
It's basically TikTok on Instagram. So
exactly. Do you have any goals for what you want to do? I know you're saying some education stuff with just like as you amass a following, because while there's a lot of great benefits to it, I'm sure, as you know, there could also be the drawbacks of being so out there on social media.
Yeah, definitely. So I really want to eventually, do more educational videos, because during my gap year, I was also a tutor, and I tutored all throughout undergrad, and I tutor in med school now. I'm like a peer mentor or whatever. And I really feel like I'm good at sort of dumbing things down. Not dumbing things down. No one's dumb that I tutor.
No, I know what you mean completely.
In a different way, in an understandable way, so that it can reach a better audience. And so I really admire that about me. And I don't mean to I'm not trying to brag or anything, but that's just something that I know I can do and I like about myself. And so in terms of future videos, I would love to not only offer advice to pre-meds and studies, hacks and skills and stuff like that, but also actually sort of explain some of the things that we learn in medical school, so that a broader audience would be able to understand that.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of people, when they think of a teacher, tutor, professor, think that the best teacher is going to be the most high IQ person that is just a genius. And not saying that you can't be a great teacher if you're that, but I think similarly for me, I don't have a great memory. I'm not a genius. I do understand things pretty well, and I'm lucky that things come naturally in that regard. But I don't think I'm anything above average when it comes to that stuff. And so being able to then use that to teach other students and make it more relatable, like you were mentioning about yourself, I think is way more important than you have a perfect score on every test. And that's the person that you should be taking or learning from, because it's hard to take these complex, especially for med school and science, pieces of content and distill it down so someone that hasn't seen that material can understand. So that's great to hear that you're going to get into that. I'm sure a lot of students will see a lot of value.
Yeah, I'm just nervous.
You'll be. What topics have you taught before, or do you feel like you'd want to be talking on?
In med school, I've tutored all topics. So we do by systems. So I've tutored in everything except neuro, because I haven't taken it yet.
You're telling me you can't teach neuro without taking it? I was going to say, come on.
And then in undergrad, it was my science classes. And I feel the strongest, obviously, in science and medicine, medical school stuff.
Right.
But in terms of subjects in medical school, it doesn't really matter. I can tutor in whatever.
Yeah, you're crushing them all.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
But I really think that I'd want to talk about sort of relatable things Okay, so let me give you an example. Like, why do we get hungover? Like that's something that's super relatable.
Right.
People are always like, oh my gosh, literally, why do I have such a bad headache? Why did I throw up last night? All this stuff. And there's a reason for that, like alcohol is inhibiting ADH, and then you're peeing all your water out, and then you get a headache because your cells in your body are dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
And so making a video about some topic that everyone has experienced.
Right. People, even if they're not trying to go to medical school, will find interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that would be really fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think I tried to do that for a couple of videos, actually. Like I did Asian glow and that like enzyme.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Where now I'm blanking on what it was when I researched it at the time. Do you remember? There's some like polymorphism or where you just like.
I'm trying to think about my friend takes a pill before she drinks.
We'll get back to whoever watching this video, or you could scroll and find it on my TikTok because I knew it once. That's awesome, though. That's great. And so now are you starting to study for STEP? I know that's probably, or what's like the most immediate things that you're currently doing in med school?
So I'm definitely starting to buckle down and get in the groove of studying for STEP 1. But we are like, I'm in school, we're online, and this particular block is only 3 weeks, so there's not a lot of material.
What are you on now?
It's called Continuum of Life.
Okay.
It's
we didn't have that, but got it. Got it.
Usually so basically for our school, like for the online version of school, they switched around the order of a lot of the classes because their hope is that they can eventually go back to in person, and so they're saving those really hard.
For like if they can go back to in person. Interesting. Got it.
For in person, and so normally this continuum block comes right before we leave for dedicated. So it's sort of just it's 3 weeks. There's not a lot of material. A lot of it is review, and it's sort of, I guess it's aimed more towards like developmental medicine and like how to have a patient interaction with kids and what medications you use and dosages for kids. So that's basically what Continuum is, but we're doing that right now. So I feel like I have a lot of extra time. So I've been dedicating that to studying for STEP. And then we just got the news that we're going back in person for clinical skills. If we want, it's like optional. And so I'm really excited for that. I need human interaction.
Have you been seeing, or I guess roommates?
Yeah. And I'm lucky because I come from a big family. So when we got the news that school was going to be online, I moved back with my family.
Right.
And it was actually really fun because I have 3 sisters. We're all like similar ages. And like I said, my younger sister and I like love making TikToks together. And so,
you're all TikTok stars.
Right. And so it was really fun. And I never felt like super lonely or anything, but I do know some of the students were out of state and they had to stay in their apartment or whatever they were renting until their lease was up. And that was like a few months of doing online classes, so no interaction there. And then
it's tough.
It was really hard on a lot of people. But yeah, since we are having our clinical skills in person now, I decided to move back to sort of my school area, and so I'm living with a couple of my med school classmates now.
Awesome. Well, sounds like everything is moving in the right direction for you. Things are going well. Your TikTok is crushing it. I'm excited to see more of those educational videos as they come out. What's one last piece of advice you'd give to any pre-med students out there? And then where can our listeners find you?
Oh my goodness. What's one?
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot at the very end.
I guess I would say, again, just to take whatever opportunity presents itself to you. If you are passionate about medicine and you know this is what you want to do, just do it. You won't regret it. And make sure that you are actively seeking out opportunities. And then once they do present themselves, just taking them and doing your best and making the most of your life and your pre-med and medical school experience.
Love it. Great advice. See, I had to put you on the spot. So
Gosh, yeah. There's a ton more advice, I'm sure, but I feel like that is something that I think everyone needs to hear. Definitely.
Awesome. I agree. And where can everyone find you?
So my Instagram and TikTok are both at Sarah Struble. It's at SarahStruble.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm sure everyone got a lot of value out of this, and hope things continue to go well, and can't wait to see what else comes your way and the stuff that you're making moving forward.